time to show up on the Wednesday night hump. I hope you guys are doing fine out there. I am indeed. While we wait for more people to show up into the live stream, I will take this time to, as usual, say thank you so much for taking the time to watch. Time is a valuable thing, and spending a little bit of yours with me watching the contents of this channel is always really greatly appreciated. So thank you so much. Just always want to get that out of the way first. You know, again, as we wait for more people to join into the live stream, and I want to thank you those who are already here. As usual, thank you guys for showing up, supporting this channel. I'll talk about today. I took the Yamaha, the the Lord Player 400 down to Fern. I always, hey, here we go. Frederick Rogers in the house. Good evening. And as you know, the nut on that guitar has a chip on the A string around the between the E and A up in that, and so I asked him, I said, well, it's not so bad. And he said, no, let's replace it. So, as you know, the seller of that guitar actually supplied it with an already cut slotted bone nut. So Fern said he'll put that in. So that guitar will have a brand new nut in it. And that's awesome. That's fantastic. Michael Watson in the house. Welcome. Hey guys, I am so glad that you guys make it each and every live stream. That's why I always show up. I feel like something at the bottom of my cat's sand tray. I'm just tired. I didn't sleep very much last night, and I have been go 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 today. But I am here. I'm going to try to make this coherent. I'm not guaranteeing anything. We'll just see how I do have something to talk about as usual, but we'll see if I can make any sense. I have noticed in some of these live streams that there has been a little bit of interference in the audio. If you hear that in the replay, let me know down below. I'm starting to think it may be interference from my lighting system here. So I'm actually going to start backing that away a little bit and seeing if that helps. I've got quite a few lights going on here. Ben Oldmark in the house. Welcome, Ben. I'm glad to see you're here and doing well. So if you do hear a little bit of crackling, a little static in the rerun of this, let me know. I appreciate it. I'm trying to figure out what it is. I shall tackle it down, but I do think it's interference from the lights. So I'll keep them backed away a little bit, not so close. And maybe tonight will be a little better. Yeah, just wore out, guys. I'm tired. So I'm going to try to make this work tonight. Yeah, it was interesting when I took the guitar down to Fern and gave him the slotted nut. He kind of, gave me that look that I know that Fern doesn't approve of something. And I was like, "What? it's a bone nut. It's a slotted bone nut. It makes the job easier for you." He's like, I don't know. I don't usually like slotted nuts or pre-slotted nuts." And I didn't, because we were talking about other things. I didn't pursue that thought. I should have. When I go and pick it up, I will. I shall. I suspect maybe it has something to do with every guitar. The nut really, it's better to slot the nut according to that particular guitar as opposed to everyone is the same. There may be something to that. I would like to know that, but he is working on that, and that means that once that's done, that guitar will be, for again, over 30 plus year old guitar. That thing is actually almost 40 year, 40 year guitar. It's pretty in damn good shape, and with Fern adding that little extra touch at the end to make it right, I'm happy about that. It's good to have a local luthier. Support your local luthiers where you can, guys, because it's a dying breed. You'd be surprised. There's a trickle down effect to things like AI. I was watching these uh, beat makers which are producers who make the beats for rap music predominantly. Although I've done something similar to that for some TV commercials. They wanted that kind of sound to it, so I did it, I guess. But they are getting replaced by AI. There's a AI something out there, Fabio or something out there that's replacing these guys. They're crapping their pants. But there's a trickle down effect to that too, because eventually it works down to your local luthiers. There's just not as much work. So support your local luthiers as much as you can. Um, little PSA there, public service announcement. Yeah. Um, you know, um, I was going through some music stores this week. I went through one of my favorite ones when he's open. A guy down here down the street. It's really the definition of a mom and pop music store. And if I were to ever buy a music store, this would probably be the one that I would try to buy, to be honest with you, because it's just got that kind of mom and pop vibe to it. And that attracts musicians. It's a homey kind of feel. But they've just got stuff piled up everywhere. And this is the place where I traded some pedals in when I was cleaning house of pedals that I wasn't using for Fender Champion 40. And when I went in there, the guy who runs the shop, Peter, asked me, "How's the champ working for you?" And I said, "It's working out like a champ," actually. And it got me thinking about tube amps and us as home enthusiasts. Now, another on a separate track in this ever tangled mind of mine, I've been noting in so many ways that inflation out there is really getting to be an issue for a lot of people. I routinely every day tell you a little bit of something about Mike. I routinely every day watch Japanese TV in Japanese to keep my Japanese up, A, and reading and listening. And because one thing about Japanese TV, they caption everything, everything. Even the Japanese YouTubers caption their stuff. It's just one of those things, literally. If you just watch not the TV, well, sometimes the TV commercials too. But and one of the reports was on the cost of vegetables. And having lived there for 18 years, not continuously, but collectively 18 years, I know the prices of things. I know the prices of things now because I import guitars in. But I was shocked by the grocery store prices. They had, in some cases, doubled in the time. What's it been? I left Japan in 2015, and so in the last 10 years. And so, of course, this trickles down into the consumers. And it affects us as well in this small little niche market. No, we don't do golf clubs. We're not the golf club channel. I make fun of that often because I know they're golf. I really should look into golf club channels, but we're just as niche, because golf, I would argue, is a huge industry. I notice they're not replacing golf players with AI. So those guys, their jobs are safe. Isn't that funny? Physical thing. Well, anyway. Um, and our small little niche is affected by inflation as well. And I am aware of this. And I think I think you need to read a room when you have a YouTube channel. You know, you got to kind of read the tea leaves a little bit about what's going on out there. I live in Amsterdam. I represent, as an individual, a very rare kind of thing. So I'm not in any way, shape, or form going to make myself the everyday man. Although in spirit, I am absolutely. But I've lived a very odd life. I've lived the life of a traveling musician and living in different countries. But I haven't gotten so far from things that I don't have complete compassion for what's going on out there with people's bills. And I think talking about expensive things, um, expensive gear, is not reading the room very well. The motto of this channel is, I'm good. In other words, uh, I'm good. I've got my studio. I've got my rig. I've got my home recording or home just jamming set up to where I'm good. And I'm good constitutes finding good value, a good value. So there's a good there. Um, Finding uh, something that um, really connects with you. Again, a lot of stuff is personal, so what's good for me may not be good for you. One man's ceiling is another man's floor, they say. And also the third one, being content and not being one to chase every new trend. Again, sitting back. I always found that sitting back and just waiting a little while, not getting excited and jumping on it as soon as something came out, but just sitting back and seeing, how it goes. A cautious approach is part of I'm good. And so I thought about that champion for you when you asked me how it was, because it is not an expensive amp. Uh, Kingdom Funding. Hey, welcome. How are you? Thank you so much for showing up to the live stream. Welcome, welcome to you. The new Falcon 5 is the best amp for me. Yeah, yeah, let's talk about that. I was thinking about this, and it's of the, okay, let's go back a little bit. Oh no, here we go. Mike is going to bore us with a history lesson. Tales of the old panhandle. um, I've been in prison. Well, you know, I don't know if that's a fact or not, but I'm glad you've made it out either way, and you're here. That's all that's important. As long as we're all here, I always say. But I've been thinking about uh, value as part of that. Wrong country, wrong timing. Yeah, yeah, that being a traveler and getting out and about, and more people are starting to get out and about, and uh, but we are free. Yeah. Um, One thing, as a little side PSA about traveling, is that one of the best things that I've learned is always, again, reading. This is kind of another reading of the room, but really trying to get a quick sense on the ground for the country that you're in, and what will fly and what won't fly. And sometimes even that won't save you. They'll try to. I had an interesting in Indonesia. So there's that. I can dig that. I miss your talks so much. Well, brother, I am just so glad that you made it and you're still here with us, and that that's settled. discount amps like this Fender Champion 40 are still being produced. And it got me thinking about the history of amps, a little bit in my personal history with uh, uh, amps going back to the 70s. Nah, that's not true. Early 80s, early 80s, early 80s. And the combo amp in the 1980s for a high school kid like me. So I entered into high school in 82. And yeah, I hear you on that Falcon 5. Um, and all my friends, Steve DeMont, John, Drake, all the guitar players that I was growing up with that time, all had combo amps. I never, ever saw a stack with a head with anybody. It wasn't until I got into college and my friend John, who was my roommate my first year, started inviting me to gigs with bands that he was, sitting in on. He would try to bring me in to sit in to get my stage chops up. And I thank him to this day for giving me that opportunity. I didn't have to. That's when I began to see the combo, not the combo speakers, but the stacks. And it was usually 2 by 12 with a head. Very rarely did I see a 4 by 12 with a head. I never saw like, you know, four 4 by 12s or anything like that. And these were pretty mid-sized to big-sized venues at that time. But the biggest thing, honestly, that I can recall back at seeing is it's really the 2 by 12 with a head. Most everybody else had combo amps. Now, combo amps going Chuck Berry. It's a picture of him with a combo amp in his hand and, his 335 in the other. And that's been kind of the thing until the mid 60s that Marshall came out with the stack, the separate speaker with the head to it. And again, that was just, as everybody knows, the story. In And it's funny, this aspect of the story really centers in the UK because a lot of the musicians, what was the name of that group in the UK? They were big as anything. They were just as before, a little slightly before the Beatles, but they were the ones that were hassling Marshall in order to come up with louder speakers, louder combos, and because they didn't have the advantage of going into a PA system, you know, like we do today. And so that's how that came about. And going in through the 70s, which, I was a kid, so really wasn't paying that much attention. But I watched for enough TV to see that most of the rock bands like Kiss and Queen and God, who else did I see as a kid during that time? Well, the stack thing was kind of iconic, It became iconic. Again, I didn't see it in practical life later on. I think that the period of the full stack really was the 1970s. Um, Left the DSL 40 CR, if Kingdom Funding says, for the Falcon 5. Yeah. Yeah, we're going to talk about that too. I'm gonna read something that's similar along those lines here. I'm just giving this background because and then, of course, modelers came along. I used the modeler on stage. If you look at some of my live performances from my Japanese with Asanoki, my band, and you get a full a top shot when they shoot down to the floor, you'll see my modeler I was using. Um, and So I forget what it was at the moment. It's not important. But I forsook combo amps live for just having that because it went directly in the PA. I control my levels. The sound person was happy. I was happy, and the sound was clean. When I recently, and to kind of just position that against a recent live band that a rock guy I saw here down the street at the Paradiso, and he was playing a full stack, and it sounded shit. It just was muddy. It was too loud. One song sounded the same as the other. It was muddy. It wasn't articulate. I don't know what the hell that guy was thinking, his, his bass player had a better, and these were Tone Cities, by the way, he was playing, both of them, the bass player and the guitarist, stacks with a Marshall head, but it just was terrible. And I thought to myself, that's when it really clicked in my head that the day and age of that is gone. Because even the audience was kind of like leaning back a little bit because it was just blowing and moving air, as they say. But it was moving too much. It was you can move some air, and then you can be a damn typhoon and blow the building over. And loud, and in playing with Asanoki, getting back to that, if I did show up with a 4x12 stack, they'd have thrown me out the club. My band would have thrown me out, and the club would not have allowed me to even roll that. It was combo amps or Mahlers, early Mahler. So modeling isn't really anything new in that regard. I was using it in the 2010s, and then I switched back to 1x12 because um, I felt that it would be completely unnecessary to have anything bigger than a 1x12, especially something like this Champion 40, which is a 40-watt amp, two-channel 40-watt solid state, by the way, not tube. And notice tonight I said best amp for home or stage, 1x12 or bust, best amp for I didn't say tube amp and I didn't say solid state. Either one, in my opinion, would do for tonight's discussion, purposes. So that little bit of history, just showing you guys that what's old is new, and what's new is old. And in other words, I think that we've come. It's a cyclical kind of thing, where I believe looking at the stores that I've been in, talking to a lot of the guys that I know, and just looking at their sales, that nobody's really buying those stacks anymore. They're gathering dust in a lot of places. Even the 2x12s are just something that are just not something that, I mean, that would be the tops. But no, everybody, it's shrinking down from, from the combo amps to the stacks to the modelers, back to the combo amps. But even in the combo amps, we're taking a lot of aspects of that modeling and we're incorporating into them to make it the best of both worlds, like the Van Hagar song. You've got the best of both worlds. You guys know that one. So that's what we have now. And so I saw an article in ultimateguitar.com, which I told you I'm kind of addicted to these guitar sites. I love reading their articles, especially when I'm on a train ride or on a tram. I'm sitting there reading these articles. And this one came up. Is 2024 going to be the year of high-end tube amps? And this writer starts off by saying, I think many of us have been pretty pessimistic about the future of tube amps. Now, he's talking about tube amps. Again, tonight's discussion, we can cover solid state as well. I've pretty much I've gone pretty much all digital. Sorry, with a Line 6 Catalyst as my gigging amp and a UAFX amp sims for my demos and recording. However, one thing I have harped on consistently was that tube amps were going to move in a very high end direction. Now, his argument is that a strange one. Gone are the days of trying to make a tube amp as nice as an affordable as possible. Gone are the days of trying to make a tube amp as nice and as affordable as possible. His argument is that the inflation has made it so that it's only profitable for amp makers to come out with high end models, that the low end models are no longer very necessary. And then he goes on talking about the different companies, Gibson, Marshall, and others that are looking into these combo amps, the Falcon 5. Gibson is getting back in the amplifier game with the Falcon 5 and the Falcon 20 combo amps. And while they are not actually as expensive as I anticipated, they're about $14.99 and $17.99 respectively. So they are not cheap, but their decision to focus on combo amps, specifically at studio level volumes, is smart. Now, here is where I agree and where our trains of thought come together. I don't think that the maker manufacturers are going to stop making the lower end affordable solid state or tube amps. I think that um, that what they're going to do is try to incorporate as many modular aspects into those amps to make them attractive to that market, that segment of the market. Now, when you're talking about $1,500 for a combo amp, you're talking about some real money there for a tube amp. However, um, in the solid state territory, it can be done a lot less. And whether you go tube or solid state, again, is not really the point of the discussion. The point of this discussion is us both agreeing, the writer of this article and I, that the future of amps are the past of amps, combos. And he's arguing that it seems like the manufacturers are harping in on that point too. They're seeing that combo amps, not we had those. Remember, I had up here, and I used to have the God. What is that company? Oh gosh, my mind is not working. This is what happens, guys, when you do not sleep for 2 days. Um, and by the way, today is my brother's 60th birthday. I want to say a happy birthday to my brother David out there. Happy 60th birthday to you, bro. Um, Moore, somebody, they had a little lunchbox. The lunch boxes came out back in the mid 2000s with orange, as I seem to recall. And I had one here myself. Um, those were trying to go in the direction of the head, but you still needed to have, you know, a speaker cabinet in order to make those work. And so the practicality of those is being the functionality of trying to get as much out of one thing as possible, kind of put those to the side. They were cool for a time, but I think the combo amp is now filled back into that space, is what I'm saying. The separate head and speaker cabinet, especially the bigger ones, are the ones that I think that are going to be phased out. Will they be available by some small boutique builders? Of course, absolutely. Will the big guys do it? No. From this article, again, Gibson with the Falcon 5 and 20 are aiming in the direction of combo amps. They're going back again to the days of Chuck Berry and his, guitar and a combo amp. Because combo amps are really, 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 really super practical. Um, I totally agree. Falcon Funding says it's all about the greed now, and thank God we are business owners. But what about starting musicians? Yeah, and that's why I want to talk to them. That's again the little preface about inflation and cost of things. And I've got oh, the Champion 40 right here next to me. So this is the Fender Champion 40. This is the cheapest combo amp that I've ever had, but I've got to tell you, it's one of the best values of a combo amp that I've ever had. And I can recommend this to any beginner or bedroom guy or studio guy or stage guy. This amp. Wow, that covered everything for an amp that you can have for around 200 bucks. Used, they don't drop. That's the funny thing about this too, is that you're used, it's only 40 bucks off of that. 160 is the cheapest. So the range used is 160. New, they're around 200, 230. Not a, they hold their value. So therefore, the I'm good part of good value is achieved with an amp like this. I would have never looked twice at this amp, to be honest with you. But when I walked into that shop and I saw, and I was looking around, and I wanted to make a trade. Didn't want to spend any cash, but I said, what would be useful, something that I could use? And I saw this, and I immediately traded for him, and it was one of the best trades that I'm much, much more happier having this than having those pedals. Um, Old 80s Rat distortion, and my amp modeler, the one that I used for so long. Those are two pedals that I traded for this. Now, I did make a modification in it that I can show you. I put an old Jensen C112 in speaker in there. Put that down. The C112N is the speaker that was used in the original Blackface. And by the way, uh, this is two channel, as I said. The first channel is modeled off of a Blackface. So combined with this vintage, well, not vintage, it's from they don't make them anymore, but this is the Italian made C12. Maybe they do, but they do make them now. But these are the ones that are made in Italy, and then there are some that are made in China or something like that now. But these Italian-made ones, and going back in history back to the British ones, are really the quintessential sound of the blackface. So for an additional, I had one here that I got things laying around. I said, hey, this may be the amp for this Jensen that I've been waiting for. So I paired the two of them together, and it sounds fantastic. Yeah. You got to learn how to work it, but and I only keep it in the first channel, the blackface channel. I don't really use any effects or anything like that on it. I use it for my cleans, um, and it's got a headphone jack, so I can go wireless into the amp and then plug in my wireless headphones. And when I'm sitting at home, I can go full volume and nobody's going to hear it, you know. And for the bedroom jammer, this for 200 bucks, like I said, and for an additional $80 if you can find one. It doesn't have to be this one. The Cannabis Rex also would be a great speaker to put in the Fender Champion 40 as well. But if you really want to get that true chimey blackface tone, then yeah, you want to get a Jensen like this one. But you for not a lot of money, for an investment still under $300, you are pretty much recovering all your bases, regardless of who you are. 40 watts. This thing, I don't turn it up past 2 or 3 when I play it out because after that, 40 watts is loud, folks. It's loud. It's a loud amp. And I could see myself um, using it for recording, um, and so that covers the studio aspect of that. And again, under $300. So you got quite a range there. If you got the 15 to spend, then sure. Um, um, I would try to get as many bells as whistles as possible. My Laney, for example, has a cab out. So if I did want to plug it into an external 2x12 or 4x12, I could do that with the Laney. That's a cool thing to have. It affects send and return on it. Is also something that comes with it. It's one of the reasons I like the Laney Club One First version. A lot of that stuff, including the spring reverb, including the reverb, um, are taken out in the version 2, and the effects in the return. Um, but there I go. If I want to go on stage and that 1x12 combo is not cutting it, I take the Laney, plug it into an external 2x12 or 4x12 if it's available, and I'm just rocking and rolling. And when it's time to go home, I just have to carry that 1x12 Laney. So 1x12s cover everything. And if you get one, and these cheaper ones that have built-in modeling, they also go up in scale as well. Um, you know, it really makes it again the best of both worlds, and where I think the future of amps are going. I I bring up this Champion 40 again because I will harp on the fact that at this kind of money, you're getting value. So this is definitely upstairs to the right channel, thumbs up amp in terms of value. I traded two pedals for it, so that's a good value that I wasn't really using anymore. As a matter of fact, this amp made both of those pedals redundant. But I am always looking for a value. I don't want to necessarily talk about expensive things. I want to show you that there's some inexpensive things out there that maybe you should take a second look at because there's a lot of bang for your buck there, and they cover a lot of different of needs of the modern musician, as well as depending upon whether you're a beginner or a pro, that will be suitable at a wide range of prices. But the common denominator there is that they're 1x12. So there's that. Phineas Henshaw in the house. Welcome, sir. How you doing? Michael Watson. Great timing for tonight's discussion. I have a new Marshall 50 combo arriving tomorrow. Great. I've been back ordered for 3 months. I'm a little excited. Yeah, again, there's another one, the Marshall 50 combo. Um, I one second here, guys. See if we can pull that up. Yeah, the Marshall Origin 50C combo at $500 basically. Again, here we go. I'm liking this. Yeah, I'm digging this a lot. Nice, very nice. We have Presence of Master. Um, wow, gain, separate gain. Wow, this is super nice. You can select your output high, medium, or low. That's basically kind of, I guess, a built-in attenuator. Super nice. And what a nice price. Yeah, this would be on par with, say, my Laney, for example. This is fantastic. Wow, look at this. And this is, again, at this price range. So you're going a little bit more money, obviously, than this Fender here next to me, but you're still moving in that kind of direction. Gain boost function, 2 voicings. There you go. One channel, 50 watts. So that's going to blow, and it's a tube amp. Two EL34s, three ECC 83s, 12 AX7s, basically. Comes with the Celestion G12. Hey, I love Celestion speakers. I have a vintage Celestion speaker. Really nice. Really nice. Phineas Henshaw. I run a Princeton course from 1991. Yeah, my uncle Carlton uses a Princeton. He has a Princeton, and a Princeton course, and it's another one of those things that he says he's gonna will to me. Like, okay, there's another, but it's a combo, so that's great. Henshaw says I also have a Mustang 3V2 and a Catalyst 60. Both I bought slightly used. Yeah, again, used is always the key. Like I said, used. You can find them used. Do it. We have no, unless it's something that absolutely has to be placed on order, like for example, this Marshall that Mr. Watson purchased. Then you try to find it used. Something like the Marshall, you got to kind of do it that way. You got to buy it, but whoop it at that price. You're not crying. That's a great amp for a great deal. And so it's 1x12 combos. Invest in one, whether it's going to be as cheap as this, or as expensive as the Falcons. So we were talking about a to $2,000 to $1,500 range or so. 1x12s is the future, and I would and I and the demand for them is always going to be there. That's one of the reasons why they made a shitload of these Champion 40s, but they have not. You're not going to find them for any less than what's the market. It's not a big. What am I trying to say here? Boy, I am tired. It's not a big loss from if you bought it new. If you try to sell it used, you can still make a good bit of your money back on it. One might tell us hold their value. It's the heads and the cabinets that are sitting in the music stores literally gathering dust. Literally, I've seen it. Literally gathering dust. You know. Catch up with you guys. Mr. Henshaw's, I really want a Tone Master, but it does not sound 5 times better than what I have. No, I told you, the guy had Tone Master, Tone City, Tone Master. Is it Tone Master or Tone City? Anyway, he had, and no, no, no. Cool looking, sounding wise, it didn't impress me, especially there in a live. It just was no. My son turned 11 last month. We got him the Mustang 25 watt and the Strat Mini. Hey, there you go. With a bag and everything, came in 600 pounds. There you go. And with that amp, you're set. He can upgrade the guitar, which he will, but the amp will play him through to the time he gets to in his out of his teens. Maybe when I start gigging again. Well, I think again, like I said, my point is that if you've got any decent 1x12, you're good enough to gig with it. I would gig. I would take this champ with me. Certainly, I would. Yeah, I would use it. I have the Laney, which is honestly the one that I would take, honestly. But this, uh, as a backup, is not bad. I wouldn't be mad, especially with the Jensen in it. I can't tell you. Again, it's just like the Tonewood discussion. Uh, the speaker that you're running those pickups, which are more important than the wood, is a very important thing too. And when you get a good speaker and you swap speakers and you hear that difference, it's really a revelation. And it again throws the Tonewood debate out because that changed your tone. again, a good amp can make a cheap guitar sound good. A cheap amp cannot make a good guitar sound good. It doesn't work that way. It just doesn't. Prices are crazy now. Well, that's the inflation, and that's again why I say if you can get in the secondary market, do it. But if you don't have the money and you're like, what am I, I don't want to spend that kind of coin on it right now. There are fantastic options out there like this Champion 40 that can be had and will not break the bank and will do you just fine. That's fine. My Laney, is the equivalent, looking at it, of the Marshall Origin C in some ways, because it is also, it's actually not in some ways. It's three 12AX7s and two EL34, so that's the same. I've got a Celestion vintage one in it. That's the same. The wattage is the difference. That one is a 15-watt amp. This one is 50. This one, the 15, I would gig with. This one, absolutely a completely giggable amp. You don't need anything else. This, your guitar, if you use pedals, fine. You're done. You're good, and you can take this anywhere. I haven't seen the back of it. Does it have? No, it doesn't. It doesn't seem to have a cabinet out, but that's okay. Not necessarily. With this, you don't really, shit, 50 watts, you don't need it. Unless you're playing, Wembley or something. So, that's my thoughts on it. I wouldn't, before I invested in any of the modelers, the Axe-Fx, or any of those things, I would involved in, yeah. Been there, done that. Phineas says they put better speakers in tube amps. If you take a solid state versus tube amp and run it in the same speaker and cabinet, they will sound identical. Yeah, again, that, even then, I will say that that's a personal subjective thing, but it's true though. It's true. Um, Either way, solid state is going to be a more affordable option. If that's the option you have to go, then go that direction. If you want to go the tube amp direction, the Laneys, some of these the Marshalls, and that around the $500 range, you're good to go. 15 watts with the Laney is more than enough. 50 watts, you're happening. As a matter of fact, the drummer is going to be pissed. And again, the price range goes up and down from there. But on the cheap end, the solid state is pretty much what you're going to find. The Laney and this Marshall are in the same price range. So you're not going to find cheaper tube amps than those two, but those are great options. Those are two great options. And below that, you're talking solid state, but I think that the Fender knocked it out the park with this Champion 40, because 40 watts, more than enough. Swap speakers in it, you're good to go, and it takes pedals well. Yeah, for home, I can turn this on again, wireless headphones, wireless going into it because it has that headphone out, which is great, super convenient. A lot of features. If I want to get a little rocky, I can switch over to channel 2 and I can use some of the modeling. So it fits a lot for a little bit of change. It fits a lot of checks a lot of boxes, I guess is the best way to put that. And I think that I highly recommend you purchasing a 1x12 if before you think about buying a modeler. But again, look at the specs of that 1x12. Everybody has different needs, but I would put my money into that. So that's just a personal thing, but I like amps more than modelers. So there is that. I stopped using tube amps on gigs because of the maintenance. Yeah. Again, I have an ampless, I have an ampless pedal board. If I wanted to, I'd just take my pedal board, plug into the PA system, and I could, rock from there. However, um, a solid state is probably going to give you a little less trouble, but there's noise issues there with solid states that you don't get with tube amps. Everything's going to have a problem. A modeler, if you get a failure in your circuit board, your SOL. So everything's going to have a little bit of pros and cons. But I don't know. I would go with tube amp still myself. If I start gigging again, I'd go with a tube amp, knowing what I know. I can drop a good solid state and it will play well if you smash it. Yeah, yeah. Been on Mark. I'm pretty sure that Origin combo 20-watt too. Yeah. Let's see what it says. Affordable rock classic with modern enhancements. Yeah. So it's based on the JTM 45 and the Super Lead. Ooh, I love the sound of Super Lead. It does have an effects loop. Interesting. Is that in? It's for musicians, not for collectors. Okay, gotcha. Nice. Yeah, I like this. It doesn't say if it comes in a smaller model, but at least not that's available on this site. But I like what I'm reading there. That sounds great. Um, Everything is a trade-off. Yeah, but I am an old fat dude. That's what I hear you. Hey, today when I had to take that guitar down to Fern again, it's just a 10 or 15 minute walk from my place here. But I'm just getting to the point. I mean, it's a Les Paul in a soft gig bag that has a shoulder strap. But I just got to the point where I'm getting. I don't even feel like doing that. So I can dig that. My 57th birthday is coming up here in a week or so I can dig that. Everything is a trade off. Yeah, I got that. Yeah, and prices are insane again, but we have options. But I'm really a strong believer that again, what's old is new, and what's new is old. We started out with Chuck Berry with the combo amp, and doggone it, we're going to end up that way. Now it's a way different combo amp than Chuck Berry wishes that he had even a Champion 40 back then. Could you imagine what he could have done with a Champion 40 back then? Yeah. So they've come a long way, but oh, I see. That's well. Here we go. Same age, me and Mr. Henshaw. 1 by 12 for the win, says Kingdom Funny. Yeah, that's what I think so. I think it's like I said. Well, I titled this tonight "1 by 12 or Bust," and I really strongly feel that way. I don't think I'm not in the camp that tube amps or solid state amps are going the way of the Dodo Bird. I'm of the opinion that people are getting back and seeing the advantages of combo amps. And the best bang for your buck value combo amp is a 1 by 12. Now, some people swear by 1 by 8s and 1 by 10s is actually going down. Um, they'll point out some rock classics that were recorded on 1 by 8s and 1 by 10s. And there are some amps out there that actually their 1 by 10 and 8 versions sound better than their 1 by 12s, especially in the case of that bass breaker or some amp I played. The smaller version sounded better. But either way, combo amps and smaller combo amps too. If you can pick up if you see one at a pawn shop, a 1 by 10 is it's tube. In that case, the smaller ones I'd have to go tube. I wouldn't go solid state on anything other than 1 by 12. But the 1 by 8, 1 by 10s would have to be two amps. But if you can find one in the pawn shop or someplace around that, swoop that up too. Because again, for a little quiet home practice amp, um, for something that you can run down to the studio with and mic and do it old fashioned, mic it, and be surprised how good it sounds, like they used to. Again, the 1x12 is the king, but if you can find any kind of combo amp, and that's in one speaker, not 2x10, not 2x8, not no no 1x12, 1x8, 1x10, then I would go that route before I went a modeler. I really would. Um, I just think that when you have so many options and selections and choices and banks and presets and things of that nature of modelers, again, you're not focusing on the playing or the music either. An amp, kind of takes to you and your guitar. Once they start, once you find the one that your guitar and your amp start working together, or an amp that really works with any good guitar, then then that's you're done. You're happy. You're not sitting there, you know. You're actually concentrating on playing. Um, can't stop playing music. Welcome. Easy Pathfinder 15R. Yeah, there you go. There's another good one. A lot of good options out there, guys. And it doesn't, and the price again, this is a $200 amp. This Fender here, this Fender Champion 40 sitting next to me. Yes, I did put a better quote, a more appropriate speaker for what it is. A Jensen goes with it, so that makes sense. In order to make it sound its optimum best, um, on channel one. But again, it's not expensive. Didn't cost me anything. Almost. I mean, it didn't cost me anything other than the trades. I had the speaker here already sitting in a box in Singapore. So I bought it in Singapore somewhere. I can't remember where. Kingdom Funny, I got a video on Instagram playing. There you go. Sweet. Check it out. I have video on Instagram playing and through the Black Star. Sounds great. Huh. I'm interested in that myself. Huh, I can't watch. Just kidding. So those are my thoughts on that. I haven't really touched on that. Boy, we're starting to spread out here. We're talking about PRSs, and by the way, I wasn't the only one I noticed last week that jumped in on the Paul Reed Smith bandwagon, just punching down. For some reason, a lot of cats last week came out with videos talking about Paul Reed Smith as well. And the general consensus was not good in his favor. It's just not. I found that hilarious, Um, so I was definitely reading the room on that discussion. This one, um, yeah, don't know if I really got into it. I'm just of the opinion I've had combo amps. You guys can go back into my Singapore days where I had 1x12s. I had lunch boxes that I had very nice tube amps, all tube amps, heads. I'm sorry, I had a selection of tube heads and 1x12 and 2x12 cabinets. But I got rid of all that stuff. It just again from personal experience, I've always had either a modeler or a combo amp, usually tube or solid state. It was solid state when I first started working. I didn't graduate to a tube amp until I got to college. All the amps that I had growing up, the bass amps uh, the um, the guitar amps were all solid state PVs, mostly a lot of PVs. So, so many options out there too. Katanas, um, the Pathfinders we've talked about here. We've talked about Black Stars. They sound great even with 6-inch speakers, Phineas says. Can't go wrong with any of them. I agree, Mr. Henshaw. Can't go wrong with any of them. And so reading the room, look at our wallets are getting tight. Now I like that discussion that I had about those Yamaha guitars because again, there's another example of a guitar that checks every box, but it's affordable. That for some reason, and I don't understand why. Somehow I'm trying to break this spell, but it's a powerful one of people looking past the name on the headstock and looking at the quality of the item that actually is being presented to you. If you can get past that, freedom, freedom, you've moved into the promised land. If you can't break free of that, then I don't know what to tell you. You're watching the wrong channel. Cooper Uglow, welcome, Cooper. Thank you for showing up, for taking your time to even chime in and give your opinion. First of all, I want to thank you so much. 70 solid state amps are real sleepers. Sound almost as good as tube amps usually, but require way less maintenance. Yeah, those were the tube amps that I was playing again. I was playing in the 80s, early 80s. In high school, I was playing 70s solid state amps. And they sounded fantastic. And they were loud. And I never, again, it wasn't until college that I graduated to a tube amp. And when I heard a tube amp for the first time, I was like, oh, okay. I had a kid that I sold a guitar to, a lefty, and I let him. I brought the guitar to him and my Laney with him. The kid's 22, 21, 22 years old. It was the first time he ever plugged into a tube amp in his life. Any amp. He always used a modeler. He doesn't know anything about it. And he was blown away by how it sounded. He was like, holy crap, this is my first time hearing. And I'm glad it was my Laney because, that's like, that's what you want to hear. You want to hear something good like that. But I was shocked. I was shocked. I found that very interesting. PVs, crates, yeah, crate amps. My bass amp was a crate, and my guitar amp was a PV. So many, so many, so many. And that's the truth of it. It was solid state amps for me. And I don't think that I'm about as good as a player as I'm going to be. But my sound was never any less as a result of using those. Hell, in college, when I played in college gigs with Jock, he played piano, I played bass or guitar. Or sometimes he'd ask me to come down to his church and I would play bass. It was again, a solid state amp. And those suckers were heavy and they were yay big, but they were loud. They were loud. They were loud. And they did the job. And the 4x12 stack never was an equation, ever. And in Japan, like I said, I've never saw them. In my professional playing in the studios in Japan, and I went to a lot of top studios, I never saw them. Never saw them. When they were doing guitar recordings, they were always using 1x12s combos. Always, always, always. They mic'd them the hell up, and they were micing them up with the right microphones in order to get the best out of them. But yeah. The Polytone Mini Brute was my first pro amp. I had never heard of that one. Yeah, that's a new one on me. I assume it's probably a UK brand, but yeah, when you're in LA, growing up in LA when I was a kid, in the garages, because we didn't park our cars in the garage. We usually turn them into studios or guest rooms, apartments. But in any case, we were all rocking solid state and didn't know, care, or give two craps. Still don't. Still don't. But what's old is new. And therefore, we started out in the 50s, you know, with Chuck Berry, like I said, with his 335 in his hand and his Fender or Gibson amp in the other. And we had a lot of stuff in between. And now we're getting back to the 1x12, realizing that it really is the best bargain, and it does everything, and it covers everybody's needs from the home enthusiast to the pro. Covered. So those are my thoughts on the 1x12. And what am I seeing here? Lots of folks here. Thank you so much, guys, for showing up in the live stream and being here tonight and talking about this and sharing your experiences and your thoughts on these amps. I learned things. I'm looking at this. I'm seriously looking at this. It's in stock here. I know you said you had to wait for it, but this here, it's in stock now. Um, this Marshall Origin 50 combo amp is looking like hot shit to me. I'll be frank with you. I'm digging this. I never really checked it, but I'm liking this. This is again up my alley. I've got the I've got the Laney, so it would be kind of redundant, but 599 euros in stock, delivery free of charge. If I ordered today, I could get it by next Tuesday. But so many options out there, guys, and great ones. And so something to chew on, something to think about tonight on this Wednesday night hump. Such a great discussion tonight, guys, and so many new people showing up. I want to thank you guys for showing up. And if you have not done so, subscribe with us so you can get notifications of all kinds of stuff that comes up regularly. I'm pretty regular. It's always an odd thing to say. I do put out content regularly, and I would love it if you haven't done so. Subscribe with me. Hit the like button for sure, whether you're going to watch this now. I've got more. No, no, the ratio's right. The ratio's right. So we got the likes going here tonight. Thank you. But if you watch it in the rerun, guys, hit the like button as well. Leave your comments down in the comments section. I read them, I answer them always. You always get a reply. Either I'll write something or you'll get a thumbs up. Um, because I'm engaged with you and your thoughts. And sometimes I get some ideas for live streams from your thoughts. So please leave your comments down below. I don't sell t-shirts, I don't sell mugs, but I do sell music. Go over to bandcamp.com. Look up Asanoki or Mike McWilliams, either one. You type in the name. 2 albums will come up. I am going to put them on sale next month for my birthday. But if you want to, feel generous and spend $2 more, now would be a good time for you to support this channel by buying that music. That is always greatly appreciated and makes me feel good too to know somebody's out there listening. Uh, that's the joy of it. It's not about the money, man. It's about people listening. And somebody out there right now is listening to it, and you're like, hey, I wonder what they thought about that. Or we do this for love now because there ain't no money in it, really, on the big scale. But there is enough to support this channel. So please do so by going to bandcamp.com, looking up Asanoki, Mike McWilliams, and supporting this channel that way. Thank you guys so much. I hope the audio was better tonight. I will check this tomorrow and make sure that it sounds good. It's either interference from my lights or it's it's electronics here. uh I'm thinking it's interference from the lights, so maybe backing these lights up tonight, it'll be a bit better, not as problems we were having on the high end before. Let me know down in the comments that as well, how it sounded tonight. You guys take care. I'm going to go to bed. I'm- My eyes are slowly shutting on their own. So good talk tonight. And thank you guys for sharing. I will talk to you on Sunday at Sunday at Mike's. Until then, see you. Bye.